All right, I'll focus here.
Okay.
All right, we'll talk later. Thanks, Nadu.
Yes, thanks, bro. Okay, call me after and we can try to figure it out.
Okay.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Bol.
Thanks.
Welcome to Life Lessons from the Srimad Bhagavatam. I apologize for my late arrival today. Quite a few things going on with the setup. So hopefully we'll be able to actually run this because some of the settings got changed in my computer. By Krishna's grace, it should still run. There we are. We are live on Instagram. So welcome to Instagram participants. I'll chant some verses from the Srimad Bhagavatam while waiting for participant arrivals and also as an invocation. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 3, Text 40. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Samhita Shloka Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishresaya Lokasya Nanyam Swastyaya Namahat. This Srimad Bhagavatam is the literary incarnation of God, and it is compiled by Srila Vyasadeva, the incarnation of God. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people, and it is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Tad idam grahayam asya sutam atmatvatam varam sarvavedi tahasanam saram samudritam. Srila Vyasadeva delivered it to his son, who was the most respected among the self-realized, after extracting the cream of all Vedic literatures and the histories of the universe. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.3.42. Satu samshravayamasa maharajam parikshitam prayopavisitam gangyam paritam paramarshibi. Sukadev Goswami, the son of Srila Vyasadeva, in his turn delivered the Srimad Bhagavatam to the great Emperor Parikshit, who sat surrounded by sages on the bank of the Ganges, awaiting death without taking food or drink. Last verse for today, 1.3.43. Krishne svadhama pagate dharma janari bisaha kalo nasta drisham esha puranarko danodita. This Bhagavata Purana is as brilliant as the sun. It has risen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode, accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of ignorance in the age of Kali shall get light from this Purana. So we are welcoming participants. We have Nandu here joining from Moolamba in Australia. He's joining us from our YouTube channel. Says, can see you. Thank you, Nandu, for your comment. Shri Shama Manjari joining us from South Africa. Says, Hare Krishna, Shri Prahlad Prabhuji. Welcome, Shama Manjari. Thank you for joining. My wife, Shri Gandharvika, here in New York City, says, Hari Bol. Welcome, Shri Gandharvika. Great to have you with us. And Kirtida joins us from Norway, sending pranams. Welcome, Kirtida. Thank you for being here. Nikunja is with us from Auckland, New Zealand. Nikunja says, Hare Krishna, Shri Prahlad Prabhu. Welcome, Nikunja. Great to have you here. Meanwhile, on Instagram, we have a few participants as well. Let's see. We have Vaibhavi Mulai Krishna Sub 10. We have Vijay Muria. Krishna Sub 10 says, Hare Krishna. Half man, half lion is with us. Kirtan Yoga Plymouth is here. Thakur Vaibhav Singh, 25. Krishna Sub 10 says, you chant Mahamantra at Sri Vrndavana Dham at Kartik Mas. That is correct, Krishna Sub Singh. I was there in Vrindavan during Kartik. Thank you. Krishna Sub says, wonderful voice you have. Thank you very much. Ananta Vasudev, Kadambakanan Swami. Welcome. Thank you for joining. Chadaratma Chandrasekhar and Ananta Vasudev. let's see, Madhuvani Kirtan, sound healing, is with us as well from Mawulamba. Thank you for joining, Madhuvani. Binder Happy, Vishnu Janananda, Shiv Ani, and Team Expert Sapna. Welcome to all of you. Thank you for joining this discussion today. What we're doing is another review of the 10th Canto of the Bhagavatam. We had a review last Wednesday, Thursday, and we discussed Krishna's Advent and Vrindavan pastimes in maybe too much detail for a review. It was a noble effort, but we didn't actually manage to cover the entire 10th canto, which was our intention. And the reason why is because I like to share with you the structure, so you have a sense of the entirety of the work and how it holds together, how it fits together. So we're going to try that again, less detail, more structure today. Structure, chunking down, summarizing, that's how we can get a sense of committing the Bhagavatam to memory. Of course, learning verse by verse, learning 18,000 verses, that is a massive challenge. Some are able to do it. But for us, having a sense of the overview can be very helpful, and it's possible. Anyone can learn that. Actually, I'm developing a course to teach that as well. And so that's a project that I'm working on. So today, for our overview of the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam, we will be looking at the structure for these 90 chapters of the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So the broad overview for the 10th canto is Vrindavan pastimes, chapters 1 to 40, Mathura pastimes, chapters 41 to 49. So like 9 chapters there for the Mathura pastimes, and then Dvaraka pastimes, chapters 50 to 90. That's the high-level overview. Within each of those, we can further break it down. For the Vrindavan pastimes, and our acharyas give the structure as Kumar, or based on Krishna's ages. So Kumar, ages 0 to 5, chapters 1 to 14. Pauganda, childhood, chapters ages 5 to 10, chapters 15 to 19. And then Kishore, ages 10 to 16, or youth, and it's chapters 20 to 40. So that's the high-level structure then for the Vrindavan pastimes. We can analyze these further as baby pastimes, or the Kumar pastimes. We can put them into 3 groups. Krishna's Advent, chapters 1 to 3, and then Krishna as a baby in Gokula, when he deals with different pastimes, different demons, and steals butter, chapters 4 to 10, and then Krishna as a new Gopal, is initially as a calf herd, chapters 11 to 14. So let's look at these in a little more detail. Krishna's Advent, those first 3 chapters, we begin with Bhumi's alarm that the earth has been overrun by demons, Vishnu's instruction to the demigods that he will appear on earth to deal with the demons who are invading and assuming the positions of royal families on earth. Vishnu instructs the demigods that they too should appear, and that he will appear in the Vrishni and Yaru families. And then we have Draupadi's wedding, when Kamsa hears a voice from the sky, an Akashvani, calling him a fool for driving his sister's chariot on her wedding day, when her 8th child will kill him. Kamsa is angered. He wants to kill Devaki on the spot, but Vasudeva negotiates and promises to hand over each of her children. Kamsa agrees to this, and he's pleased when Vasudeva keeps his word. He allows Vasudeva to keep the child, but then he turns and, under the advice of his demon friends, starts killing children in the entire surrounding area, imprisons Vasudeva and Devaki. And so then we have Krishna's birth pastime. Devaki becomes pregnant. She is effulgent. The prison house is lit up with radiance. Demigods are in the heavens chanting prayers, glorifying Krishna. Krishna makes his appearance first as four-armed Vishnu. He instructs Vasudeva to carry him across the Yamuna to Gokula, to the house of Nanda and Yasoda, and exchange him for the baby girl that has been born to Yasoda. And so Vasudeva fulfills those instructions. Kamsa hears the child's cry, the baby girl, and rushes to the prison. Devaki pleads, "This is a female child, you shouldn't kill her." Kamsa nonetheless rips the child from her arms, dashes the child to the ground, and the child assumes the form of Durga and calls Kamsa a rascal, a fool, chastises him for being so cruel to Devaki, and says that the child is already somewhere else. And so Kamsa, he sends demons out to find all the children in the surrounding area and kill them. And we have these demons coming to Gokula. The first is Putana, representing the false guru. Then there's Shakatasura, a ghostly demon that inhabits a cart during Krishna's Utan ceremony, when the child is able to lift itself up. There's Trinavarta, representing speculative philosophies. And so these demons, they all disrupt faith. If Krishna's appearance also represents the appearance of faith, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains, then the false guru, Shakatasura, is attachment to ritual or a form of a substance. Trinavarta, speculative philosophies, these will undermine faith. But then Krishna performs wonderful pastimes. So Krishna destroys these demons and he protects faith in that way. And then he performs wonderful pastimes that also nourish. There is his name-giving ceremony that glorifies his name. There is his, this is a ceremony conducted by Gargamuni in secret in the cowshed. There is the pastime of his eating dirt and Yasoda looking into his mouth and seeing the entire universe. But although she sees his majesty, it doesn't overwhelm her motherly affection for Krishna. So his sweetness conquers over the majesty of his opulence. And then there's his Damodar Lila, where he steals butter and thus steals the hearts, the soft hearts of his devotees. After the Damodar Lila, then Krishna is the residents of Gokul. They move Krishna to Vrindavan, to the safety of Vrindavan. And so the Vrindavan pastimes begin. And at this stage, Krishna becomes a calf herd. So chapters 10 to 14, we have this move to Vrindavan. We have Vatsasura, a demon representing childishness, Bakasura, false renunciation, Agasura, crookedness or envy, and Brahma Vimohana Lila. Brahma is very wise, but sometimes too much knowledge is also an impediment to the development of bhakti. Then begins Krishna's childhood pastimes, ages 5 to 10. And that is where faith is expanded out to the community, chapters 15 to 19. The demons there are Denuka, the neophyte mentality that is destroyed by Balaram, Kaliya, malice and envy within the community that is destroyed by Krishna, Pralamba, impersonal dealings, destroyed by Balaram, chapter 18, and the forest fire, which is quarrel among the devotees that is swallowed up by Krishna. And so here Krishna becomes a cowherd, taking care of the cows. He's taking responsibility, and he takes care of the cowherd boys. And so this is when faith grows and deepens. It becomes not just about our own faith, but faith within the community as well. Then we have Krishna's Kishore age, his youthful pastimes, where faith deepens as love. Roots going down deep into the ground. Krishna's ages 10 to 16, or chapters 20 to 40. And this is where the gopis appear. First as a beautiful description, a romantic description of Vrndavana, and then we have the description of the gopis who describe Krishna's flute playing as he wanders through a Vrindavan forest. Their song is Venugita. At the end of Venugita, they pray to Govardhan that they can have Krishna's association. They also perform Katyayani Vrata. So they're taking shelter, they're taking action that they can win Krishna. Praying to Govardhan, performing Katyayani Vrata in the cold, in the winter, in Vrindavan, going each morning to the Yamuna, holding hands, singing songs, making a deity in the sand with the prayer, Nanda Gopasutam Devi Patime Kurute Namaha. And then we see that their prayer is answered. Yes, Krishna steals their clothes, so that's a type of a reciprocation from Krishna and an acceptance from Krishna. But there is also an arrangement that is the Govardhan Lila. And in the Govardhan Lila, they're able to be with Krishna for 7 days and 7 nights, even in the presence of their parents or the other community members. In the Venugita, they are jealous of the deer, the female deer who are able to stand with their husbands and admire Krishna, listening to the sound of Krishna's flute playing. In the Govardhan Lila, everyone of all rasas, parents, friends, and gopis, girlfriends, they were able to be with Krishna all at once at the same time in the same place for 7 days and nights. In the Govardhan Lila, Krishna humbles Indra, and after the Govardhan Lila, there is a pastime where the humility of Varuna, another very powerful and important Vedic demigod, is also shown. When Krishna's father, Nanda Maharaj, bathes in the Yamuna at an inauspicious time, and one of Varuna's servants kidnaps Nanda and takes him to the abode of Varuna, Krishna goes to rescue him, and Nanda sees how Varuna's court is so respectful to Krishna, and that surprises him. He wonders why. And so he expresses that surprise once Krishna returns him to Gokula. And the Brajbasis, they ask Krishna, "Are you Narayan? Can we see Vaikuntha?" And he grants them that wish. But then they forget about it quite quickly. Their love for Krishna as their son and as their friend overwhelms any sense of his majesty, as happened with Yasoda when she saw the universal form in Krishna's mouth. Actually, that happens twice, just as a note. They're looking into Krishna's mouth and seeing the Virat Rupa. That happens twice for Mother Yasoda. As does the forest fire. Krishna swallowing the forest fire. There are 2 forest fires that appear in the Bhagavatam. One of the most sweet pastimes of the entire Bhagavatam, and we can say the entire Sanskrit literature, one of the sweetest descriptions is the Rasalila, 5 chapters of the Rasalila, chapters 29 to 33. It begins with Krishna's call to the gopis by playing his flute at Vamsivat. The gopis' response, coming to be with him, Krishna sending them away, and they're singing a song called Pranaya Gita, where they express their love for Krishna and say that loving him is their supreme duty above everything else. And then Krishna, he accepts them, he's intimate with them, but then he disappears, and they go searching for him throughout Vrindavan forest, speaking like mad people, talking to plants and trees and other creatures as they search for Krishna. They enact his pastimes, and that gives them some solace as they enact. It's a type of a sadhana. We enact Krishna's pastimes by performing deity worship and celebrating Janmashtami and so on. So the gopis show us the way here. They find Sri Radha who had been taken by Krishna, that special gopi. They find her, and any jealousy they may have had and initially seen her footprints with Krishna's, it dissipates when they see the super excellence and the intensity of her love for Krishna. And so together with Radha, they continue their search to the darkest portion of Vrindavan forest, but they're unable to find him. And so eventually they sit down on the bank of the Yamuna and they sing the Gopi Geet, which is very intimate in its description of Krishna's, the sound of his voice and the touch of his skin and the softness of his hair. And so the gopis, they sing with an intimacy in that song, and Krishna manifests among them. They ask him questions about the nature of his love, and this discussion concludes with Krishna admitting defeat, saying, I can never match your love, I can never repay you, even though I reciprocate with every living entity according to how they approach me. In terms of you, I'm in your debt. And so Krishna is defeated by the love of the gopis, and that sets the scene for the rasa dance, a dance of unity and diversity. Krishna dances with each gopi, and each gopi thinks that Krishna is with her alone. And at the same time, there's that individual dealing. At the same time, there's a collective dealing. Everyone is dancing the choreographed dance together. Narada Muni, meanwhile, goes to Kamsa and says that your enemy, he lives in Vrndavana as the son of Nanda and Yasoda, and he will kill you. So this makes Kamsa very disturbed. It confirms what he had already understood, and he becomes more determined to kill Krishna. He calls Chanur and Mustika and says he wants to organize a wrestling match. He calls Akrura and sends him to Vrindavan. Meanwhile, he sends other demons as well, Aristasura, Keshi, to see if they can finally do the job even before the wrestling match is required. Another demon that goes to Vrindavan at this time and is killed by Krishna is Shankachuda, representing lust. Akrura's arrival in Vrindavan is most wonderful, teaching us the way to perform parikrama. And then Krishna leaves Vrindavan with Akrura. The gopis sing a most wonderful song, a very intense song called Viraha Gita, the song of separation. And at Akruragat, between Vrindavan and Mathura, Akrura offers prayers. So I'm going to offer a prayer here to summarize before continuing to Mathura and Dvaraka pastimes. Beloved Krishna, in the sanctity of Vrindavan, we meditate on your divine pastimes, where your sweetness shines through each phase of 3 ages. Your Kumar Lila from birth in Mathura to age 5 when you move to Vrindavan instills within us the birth of faith. In between, in Gokula, you vanquish demons like Putana, Shakatasura, and Trinavarta, reminding us of the purity that arises from overcoming our inner obstacles. Your playful deeds of stealing butter and eating dirt captivate our hearts, teaching us to cherish simplicity over opulence. As we reflect on your Pauganda Lila, ages 5 to 10, your transition from calf herd to cow herd symbolizes our progression in devotion. By overcoming demons such as Denuka and Kaliya, you guide us in nurturing supportive relationships within our community, free from envy and malice. And in your Kishore Lila, from ages 10 to 16, your pastimes deepen our faith into love. The gopis' relentless dedication mirrors our own longing to unite. May the gopis' relentless dedication be mirrored in our own longing to unite with you, transcending worldly attachments. Their love teaches us the value of surrender, humility, and the pursuit of divine grace. So that concludes that section, Vrndavana Lila. Let's go to Mathura Lila, chapters 41 to 49. We can break this into just 2 portions, prior to killing Kamsa and after killing Kamsa. Prior to killing Kamsa, Krishna enters Mathura. It's a grand festival. The Mathuravasis come out of the city. They go to the they come out of their homes to line the streets to see Krishna. They go to rooftops. They come to their windows. They come to doorways. They've heard of him before. They've heard of this darling of Vrndavana. And now they're seeing him with his own eyes. The women of Mathura are particularly excited and expressive in their descriptions and their conversations among each other as they look upon the beauty of Krishna. Krishna has a few encounters as he enters the city. One is with a washerman. He's carrying Kamsa's royal garments, and Krishna asks for them, which is maybe an unusual request. The washerman refuses, and he's arrogant. He calls Krishna a forest dweller and says, "How dare you ask for the king's clothes?" He says, "Leave here, go back to the forest." And so Krishna doesn't like his tone, but also this is a demon. So in these pastimes, we should understand that behind the scene, there's that grand, bigger narrative, demons invading the earth. And so Krishna kills the washerman, takes the clothes. Balaram dresses himself, cowherd boys are dressed. They next encounter a weaver, and Krishna asks him for ornaments. And so he's very pleased to decorate Krishna and Balaram, the cowherds. They encounter Kubja, who has perfumes and sandalwood paste. And so Krishna asks her for some of these items, and she's very pleased to decorate Krishna and his cowherd boys with different cosmetics. And she has a hunch, and Krishna reciprocates with her by pressing his foot onto hers and his fingers under her chin and lifting her up and making her beautiful. And she falls in love with Krishna. She pulls at his garments and invites him home. And he says he will come to visit her home after killing Kamsa. Krishna also meets a florist named Sudama. And this Sudama welcomes Krishna to his home. And he offers garlands and flowers to Krishna, Balaram, and the cowherd boys. And Krishna offers him a benediction. "What would you like?" And he asks for 3 things. "I would like to have your devotional service. Bless me to always be engaged in your service. Bless me to have friendship with your devotees. And bless me to have compassion for all living beings." Krishna and Balaram continue through the streets of Mathura, and they come to a place where there is a sacrificial bow, a ceremonial bow, and it's protected by guards. So it's a very sacred bow. It's a historical bow, and Krishna goes forward, lifts it, strings it, and breaks it, similar to a pastime of Lord Ramachandra. This angers the soldiers, and so Krishna, he fights with the soldiers as well and defeats them. The next day, Krishna and Balaram and their friends again enter the city. They had been camped outside overnight with Nanda Maharaj and the other cowherds. As they enter the city, Kamsa has a elephant waiting to kill Krishna and Balaram, Kuvalya Pida. And Krishna fights with this elephant, and he uses the elephant's tusks to kill the elephant. So akin to using a thorn to remove a thorn. Here Krishna uses the elephant's own tusks to kill the elephant. In the same way, we might use our conditioned nature in service to overcome our conditioned nature. Krishna and Balaram enter the wrestling arena with Kuvalya and Pida's blood splattered on them, droplets of Kuvalya Pida's blood, and each one carrying a tusk into the wrestling arena. They look very grand and powerful. However, different people see them in different ways. The sages see Paramatma. The Vrishnis see their relative. The older people see a child whom they love as their own son. The young girls, they see Cupid personified. And so Krishna is all things. All of these visions are correct for these different devotees, and he's able to reciprocate with different devotees according to their love for him. After fighting and defeating Chanura, Mustika, and other wrestlers, Kamsa becomes frantic. He demands that Ugrasena be killed, that Krishna be killed, that Vasudeva and Devaki be killed. And so Krishna jumps up on the dais and he throws Kamsa down and kills him with his fists, then drags his body to the center of the wrestling arena for all to see that he is well and truly dead. The people of Mathura are freed from his tyranny, and the rightful king, Maharaj Ugrasena, the father of Kamsa, is reinstated upon the throne. Vasudeva and Devaki are freed from prison. Krishna comes before them, and they know him to be God, and they stand with folded hands with awe and reverence, and Krishna addresses them, Mother, Father, and he evokes their parental love, and then they're able to embrace him as a son. Krishna doesn't return to Vrindavan as the gopis predicted would be the case as he was leaving, as they sung their Viraha Gita, and they chastised the elderly members of Vrindavan for not stopping Krishna from leaving. They said that he won't come back. He told them, I will. But he said the gopis were quite sure he wouldn't return. And so Krishna stays in Mathura because he has to protect his family members there. They have many, many enemies. After killing Kamsa, Krishna knows that Kamsa has allies who will come to seek revenge. Vasudeva is keen that Krishna should have the proper samskaras performed for a kshatriya. So he has the sacred thread vestiture, what we call Brahman initiation. But it's not only Brahmins who wear the sacred thread, also Kshatriyas and Vaishyas wear the sacred thread. They receive Gayatri Mantra. And so it's Upavita. Krishna is initiated into the Gayatri and he receives that Upavita thread. And he goes to Gurukul. And in 64 days, he learns 64 arts at the school of Sandipani Muni in what is today Ujjain or Avantipur. He, as Dakshina, he brings back his guru, Sandipani Muni's son, from the abode of Yamaraj. Krishna then returns to Mathura and he sends Uddhava to Vrindavan as his messenger. The Uddhava Sandesh, the message of Uddhava to Vrindavan. And on his visit to Vrindavan, we learned of the intensity of love and separation of the Brajbasis, particularly Srimati Radharani, as she sings the Brahmara Gita, demonstrating a very, very intense love in separation that borders on different types of madness, as she speaks to a bee and chastises Krishna, both chastises and glorifies Krishna while speaking to a imaginary messenger in this bumblebee. Uddhava sees the exalted nature of the gopis' love and he prays to become a blade of grass in Vrindavan, that he can have the gopis' feet upon his head. Krishna, he goes then to visit Kubja, as he promised he would. And when Kubja embraces Krishna, she becomes purified of mundane lust. He also goes to the home of Akrura. When Krishna was brought to Mathura by Akrura, Akrura invited Krishna to his home. But Krishna didn't agree at the time. He said, I have other business. I have to deal with Kamsa. But now he visits Akrura's home. Akrura offers very beautiful prayers to Krishna. And Krishna asks a favor of him to please go to Hastinapura and inquire about the well-being of the Pandavas. Krishna has heard that the Pandavas are being mistreated by their cousin Duryodhana and his brothers, as well as they're not receiving protection from Dhritarashtra. And so he sent Akrura on a diplomatic mission to find out if this were the case. Akrura, he goes there, he speaks to Kunti, he speaks to Vidura and others, and then eventually he speaks to Dhritarashtra and he says, you're not doing your job. You're supposed to be the protector. You are the king. You're supposed to be impartial. You're supposed to support justice, and you're not doing that. You're turning a blind eye to the persecution of your nephews, and this is not right, and there will be an auspiciousness that comes from this. Akrura brings his report back to Mathura, to Ugrasen Maharaj, and to Krishna. And then we hear of Jarasandha. So Jarasandha was the father-in-law of Kamsa. His daughters were married to Kamsa, and when Kamsa was killed, then his widows, went to their father Jarasandha and complained to him and asked that he take revenge on Krishna. So Jarasandha is a very powerful demon. Later in the Bhagavatam, we learn that he's arrested 20,800 kings and kept them captive in dungeons in his fortress. Krishna goes to liberate them. He attacks Mathura, and Balaram fights with him, captures him, and brings him to Krishna. And Krishna tells Balaram, let him go. We have a mission, and he's going to help us complete that mission, because he's going to bring more of those demon armies to us, and we'll be able to defeat them all. So 17 times Jarasandha attacks Mathura. On the 18th time, Krishna decides that it's time to leave. And so he has Vishvakarma create another city in the sea called Dvaraka. And he transfers the residents of Mathura to Dvaraka overnight. This grand, beautiful city of many parks and majestic buildings, palaces. And at the same time as Jarasandha's about to attack, Kalyavana attacks in another direction, a Yavana king with a massive army. And so Krishna uses Kalyavana to wake up Muchukunda, and who's been sleeping since earlier yugas, and has a boon that whoever he sees, whoever wakes him up, and he can burn them to ashes with his gaze. And so Krishna leads Kalyavana into the cave where Muchukunda is sleeping, and Kalyavana kicks Muchukunda, who then wakes up and burns Kalyavana to ashes with his gaze. And then Krishna steps forward, and Muchukunda eventually comes to recognize him and offer prayers. And Krishna blesses him and tells him to go to Badrikashram and perform devotional service. And he says, after performing devotional service, you'll be purified, and then you will be able to enter my eternal abode. And then as Jarasandha attacks Krishna and Balaram, they flee. They perform a pastime of running from the battlefield as Ranchora. They run up a hill, Raivataka mountain. Jarasandha has the hill set on fire at the base, the entire surroundings of the hill. And Krishna and Balaram jump from the hill over the fire and escape. Jarasandha thinks that he has burned them to death on that mountain. So let's offer a prayer to conclude then the Mathura pastimes. Beloved Krishna, in Mathura, your pastimes teach us the importance of defending the faith. As you grace the city with your divine presence, you reveal the pitfalls of arrogance through the washerman and the rewards of devotion through the weaver and Sudama. Kubja's transformation under your touch shows us the profound potential within each soul, awaiting your grace. breaking the sacrificial bow and slaying Kamsa demonstrates your might in protecting and defending our faith against demoniac forces. Okay, we come down to the Dvaraka pastimes. Dvaraka pastimes, chapters 50 to 90, so basically half of the book. I'll try to summarize this at a higher level because we have been discussing these pastimes more recently, but essentially we can bring it to 5 sections. Krishna's family is one section. We hear about Krishna's marriages to Rukmini. She sent him a message and Krishna came and kidnapped her. Jambavati, the daughter of Jambavan, whom Krishna fought with as he was trying to retrieve the Shamantaka jewel. Jambavan finally recognizes Krishna, surrenders to him, and offers his daughter in marriage. Satyabhama, the daughter of Satrajit, who had accused Krishna wrongly of stealing the jewel. And so in remorse, he offers his daughter's hand in marriage to Krishna, Satyabhama. And then there are another 3 prominent queens, another 5 prominent queens, Satya, Nagnajiti, Mitravinda, Madra. I'm not sure if I said Sachi. And so these queens are all, their marriages are all described. And then there's Rohini. She represents the 16,100 princesses that had been kidnapped by Narakasura. And when Krishna killed Narakasura, then these princesses were liberated and they asked Krishna to accept them as his wives, and Krishna married them all. And their leader is Rohini. By Rukmini, Krishna has a child that is Pradyumna. In fact, each of these queens, they have 10 children. Foremost among them is Pradyumna. And then Pradyumna, he has a child that is Aniruddha. And Pradyumna marries Mayavati and Rukmavati. So they have Aniruddha, and then Aniruddha, his marriages are also described in quite some detail. One is to Rochana, I believe. At that wedding, then Balaram ends up killing Rukmi, who tries to cheat Balaram, and his other marriages to Usha, the daughter of Banasura, and that's also a very wonderful pastime. It's another pastime describing Krishna's sons playing, and then they come upon a well with a lizard inside, and they try to get the lizard out, and then they can't, so they call their dad, they call Krishna, and Krishna puts his left hand into the well and lifts out the lizard, who is transformed into a celestial being, a king named Driga, who had been very charitable, but then karmakanda, when something goes wrong, it can backfire. And so in this instance, his charity had some hitch. He gave the same cow away twice to 2 different brahmanas, and so he received the negative effect of stealing the property of a brahmana. We have descriptions of the pastimes of Balaram. So this is our second section out of 5 for the Dvaraka pastimes, described in chapters 65 to 68. We have Balaram visiting Vrndavana, performing pastimes with his gopis, drinking Varuni, punishing the Yamuna. We also have Balaram chastising Vivida, Gorilla. He was an associate of Ram who turned bad through bad association. He was a friend of Narakasura that Krishna had killed. And then we have Balaram also making peace between the Yadus and the Kurus when Samba kidnapped Duryodhana's daughter at her Swayamvara and was arrested. And so Balaram led a diplomatic effort to have him freed rather than going to war. And so Balaram is a peacemaker. We see in different pastimes, one of the ways he serves Krishna is by making peace. And we can also take hope in that. He'll make peace between us and Krishna as well. We have rejected Krishna, the wayward souls, and Balaram is Adi Guru. He's the first servant and the first spiritual master. and he helps the souls to reconnect with Krishna. A third section is Krishna's association with the Pandavas. We have description of Krishna's daily affairs in his palaces as Narada Muni visits his palaces. And we also have a description of Krishna going to court. And in the court, one particular day, 2 messages arrived. One was from the kings that were imprisoned by Jarasandha, 20,800 of them. Another message was from Narada Muni saying that Yudhisthira Maharaj, Narada Muni said that Yudhisthira Maharaj wants to perform the Rajasuya Yagya. And so in Uddhava's advice, Krishna understood he can do the 2 together. Because to do the Rajasuya, Yudhisthira will need to take tribute from all the kings of the earth, which means he'll need to defeat Jarasandha. And so in defeating Jarasandha, then those 20,800 kings will also be freed. So Krishna journeyed to Hastinapura. He stayed there with Yudhisthira. Yudhisthira told Krishna of his plan to perform Rajasuya. Krishna gave his blessings. And then they went to Jarasandha, not with an army, but 3, Krishna, Bhima, and Arjuna, disguised as Brahmanas, begged a jewel from him because Jarasandha, he gave away a lot of charity. So to avoid bloodshed, they set up this opportunity for a one-on-one confrontation where they asked for the charity of a fight. Jarasandha wouldn't fight with Krishna or Arjuna, but he would fight with Bhima. They fought for many days, and then Krishna showed Bhima how to defeat Jarasandha by tearing him up the middle on account of the history of his birth. Once Jarasandha was defeated, then those kings were liberated, they were freed, and Krishna gave them instructions how to rule, but as an offering of devotion to him, how to cultivate bhakti while performing their duties as kings. Yudhisthira Maharaj performed the Rajasuya Yagya. During the ceremony, Shishupal vilified Krishna, criticized Krishna. He couldn't stand that Krishna was receiving the first worship, the high honor in that sacrifice. And so Krishna, he punished Shishupal, severing his head with his Sudarshan disc, and all saw that Shishupal's soul left his body and entered into Krishna's form, achieving Sayuja Mukti. Once Shishupal was killed, then his friend Salva was upset and sought revenge by attacking Dvaraka with a flying iron city that he had received as a boon from Lord Shiva, constructed by Maya Danava. And so Krishna had to rush back to defend the city. Pradyumna was holding the city for some days, but he was unable to defeat Salva. So Krishna, he rushed back from Hastinapura, defeated Salva, and then another of Shishupal's friends went looking for Krishna. He went first to Hastinapur to take revenge. This was Dantavakra. Went to Hastinapur, then he went to Mathura and he was knocking on the gates there. And so Krishna flew in his chariot to Mathura, met Dantavakra there in front of the gates of the city and defeated Dantavakra. So Shishupal and Dantavakra, they are the same as Jai and Vijay, or Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, or Ravana and Kumbhakan, now Shishupal and Dantavakra in Krishna Lila. In all of this, Balaram, he is seeing that much tension is rising between the Pandavas and the Kauravas, and he doesn't want to be part of it. He sees that war is inevitable, and so rather than participating in the Kurukshetra war, Balaram decides to go on pilgrimage. He goes to Naimisharanya, where he meets many sages, listening to Romaharshana Sutta. But the arrogant Romaharshana doesn't stand to receive the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so Balaram, as a defender of Dharma, who punishes hypocrites, he punished Romaharshana by killing him with a blade of kushagrass. Then he sought atonement by killing Balvala and going on a pilgrimage of all the holy places of Bharat. Okay, our fourth topic here out of 5 for Dvaraka pastimes are Krishna and his devotees. We have pastimes of Krishna meeting Sudama Brahmana, or Sudama Brahmana going to visit Krishna in Dvaraka, and their wonderful interactions and Krishna's blessing upon him. He was a poverty-stricken Brahmana, and Krishna gave him unlimited opulences. We have a description of Krishna and the residents of Dvaraka going to Kurukshetra to be purified during the solar eclipse by being in that holy place. And when the residents of Vrndavana heard that Krishna would be there, they also left Vrndavana and went to Kurukshetra, as many others were coming. Many sages also came at that time to Kurukshetra, and it created this opportunity for a meeting between Krishna and the Brajbasis. Krishna met Nanda and Yashoda again, and he was so overwhelmed that he was unable to speak. He met the gopis, and that is our meditation in the Rasa Lila, in the Rath Yatra, where there is a meeting and there's such intense love. There's union, but then there's this intense feeling of separation as well, because everything's changed and it's not Vrindavan. And outside of Vrindavan, the love that is experienced between Krishna and the gopis, it's not the same. It can't be fully expressed. It can't be fully manifest. And so the gopis are longing for Krishna to return to Vrindavan. We have a meeting between Draupadi and Krishna's queens, and she asks the queens, how did you meet Krishna? And each of the 8 principal queens, as well as Rohini, they each tell the story of how they came to marry Krishna. It's wonderful. We have Devaki requesting Krishna to bring back her 6 sons who were killed by Kamsa, which Krishna does. And then we have a description of Krishna encouraging Arjuna to kidnap Subhadra, who Balaram was arranging to marry to Duryodhana. And so wonderful dealings between Krishna and his devotees. The final section, we have Krishna's supremacy being established. We have Krishna protecting Shiva from Vrikasura in response to a question by Parikshit Maharaj. He says, how is it that Shiva's devotees are wealthy, the devotees of the demigods are wealthy, and then Krishna's devotees not necessarily so? They might often be poor. And Sukadeva Goswami says, because the demigods don't really care about the devotee. They give them what they ask for. Whereas Krishna does care. He gives what's good for the devotee. And so Sukadeva Goswami tells the story of Shiva giving a boon to Vrikasura that whoever's head he touches will burst into 1,000 pieces. And then Vrikasura wants to touch Shiva's head. So Krishna has to intervene. Sukadeva Goswami receives another question from Parikshit, and that is, how is it that if Krishna's glories are unlimited, how is it that they can be described with words? Words are limiting, and they are a product of the material nature. Sound is a material element as well. And so it would appear that the Vedas themselves are material. And so Sukadeva Goswami describes a story where a similar question is raised in the higher planetary systems, raised by the not Satyaloka, but like Tapaloka, where many exalted beings are present. So they asked that question of Sanat Kumar, and then he told them how a similar question had been raised in Brahma's court. And so Sanat Kumar basically described the Vedas before creation. They are with Krishna, and Krishna with Mahavishnu. Mahavishnu's in Yoga Nidra. He's sleeping. When he sleeps, all the universes enter into his body. And then when he wakes up, then the universes expand from his body. How does he wake up? The Vedas sing his glory. Like a king today, like at Buckingham Palace in London, in the morning, someone goes out with the bagpipes and they play the bagpipes to awaken the monarch. And so the Vedas, they sing Krishna's glory to wake him up before creation. And so the Vedas are transcendental. We have another nice story here. That's Brigu's test. Who is God? Is the question asked by the sages on the bank of the Saraswati River. One says Brahma, one says Vishnu, one says Shiva. And so they decide to send Brigu to investigate. And he does. He goes and meets Brahma and Shiva, and he provokes them, and they become very angry. and he understands that they are under the influence of passion and ignorance. And he goes to Vishnu and he provokes him by kicking Vishnu's chest. And Vishnu, he responds by immediately forgiving Bhrigu. He says, Bhrigu, you must have hurt your foot. Let me massage your foot. You must be in a lot of pain now because my chest is very hard. And so with this compassion and forgiveness, Bhrigu, his eyes filled with tears. He's touched by the divine. He's touched by these divine qualities. And he understands this is the Supreme Personality of God. And he's beyond the modes of material nature. We also have a story of the Brahmana in Dvaraka whose sons are being disappearing. They die at birth. And so when Arjuna offers protection and is unable to provide it, and he's about to end his life, then Krishna takes him to the abode of Mahavishnu, where the sons are. And Mahavishnu says, yes, I took the sons because I wanted to see you. And Sai Chaitanya Mahaprabhu takes this as evidence that even Vishnu is attracted to Krishna. He is so beautiful. The final chapter is the Mahishi Gita, where the queens of Dvaraka are offering prayers to Krishna. They speak to nature, and it's an example of prema vaichitya, love, union and separation. They're with Krishna, but they're feeling separation, and they're unable to sleep at night, and they're talking to the clouds and the ocean and the cuckoo birds and so on. A very wonderful conclusion to the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam. They pray to always be in Krishna's service. And Sukadeva Goswami, he says, by hearing and chanting and glorifying Krishna, we can be purified of material existence and achieve the spiritual abode. So I'll offer a prayer for this final section. Beloved Krishna, in Dvaraka, your divine Leela expands our faith. Your relationships with Rukmini, Jambavati, Satyabhama, and your family reveal the sacredness of devotion and loyalty. Lord Balaram, as your eternal companion, exemplifies service and guidance as Adi Guru. Your unwavering friendship with the Pandavas, the defeat of Jarasandha and Shishupal, and your interactions with Sudama, Brahmana, and other devotees illuminate the path of humility and pure devotion. The profound love shared with the gopis and residents of Raja at Kurukshetra showcase the intensity of divine love, both in union and separation. O Krishna, may the hearing, chanting, and remembrance of your pastimes inspire us to heed your divine call, relinquish our egos, and persevere in devotion. As we journey through the stages of your Leela, may we find solace in every step, wisdom in every prayer, and eternal love in your divine embrace. So that concludes our review of the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam. We started it a little late because of some technological issues, so I apologize for that. Ruchi Sharma is with us from Brisbane, Australia. Thank you for being here. Ruchi Sharma, it was nice meeting you at Yugovardhan, and the scarf you gave me was perfect. It was cold during my visit in Australia, and so your gift was most welcome. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, I didn't get to visit Vajirama. Hopefully next time I'm in Brisbane. Thank you for joining, Ruchi. Gaurachandra's with us from Christchurch, New Zealand, says Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Nandavats, thanks for being here, Gaurachandra. We have Nandan, who says Hare Krishna. Thank you, Nandan, for being with us. And Achutananda, joining us from the UK, who says, thank you, Sri Prahlad. You're most welcome. Achutananda, thank you for being here with us. It was nice to just go through the 10th canto all at once. So I'm quickly scanning Instagram to see if there are any comments or questions. Okay, Nancy Daniel Das says, using an overactive mind to perform more seva, using the thorn to remove the thorn. Thank you so much for this. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's I'm appreciating your highlighting that point where we Kuvalia Pida. Krishna uses the elephant's tusk to defeat the demon, the elephant. Very good. So thanks, Nancy Daniel. Then Kna says, what Gita is that, Prabhu? Kna, I mentioned 5, I mentioned 6 Gitas. So 6 Gitas are found in the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam. There is the Venu Gita of the gopis. So 5 of these are by the gopis. Venu Gita, I'm not going to go into detailed description. Venu Gita, Pranaya Gita, Gopi Gita, Yugala Gita, and Viraha Gita. Each are wonderful, and I could give a class on each or all 5 together. The last one is Mahishi Gita. That's the song of the queens of Dvaraka, found in chapter 90 of the 10th canto. Thank you for asking. You can investigate further those Gitas. Okay, so Chris is with us as well from Sydney. Thanks for being here, Chris. It was nice meeting you during my visit. And we have Chaitanya Chintamani as well with us from London. Thank you for joining us, and many, many others. But I'm going to conclude here because we are over time. May you deepen your taste for hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. May you deepen your appreciation of Krishna in the form of his holy names as you chant with attention. May you deepen your appreciation for Krishna's appearance in the form of his deity. Take every opportunity to serve in your home or at the temple. May you deepen your appreciation for the Dham, where Krishna performs his pastimes. Again, the temple where the deity is served, as well as the places where Krishna appears and performs pastimes. And I also wish that you deepen your loving relationships with devotees, because it is by the mercy of Vaishnavas that we can cultivate these other practices of bhakti. Relationships with devotees as friends, as seniors, and as those that you also support in their spiritual development as their mentor and guide. And with these practices, may your heart soften with compassion, compelling you to share treasures of bhakti with others far and wide. Thank you, Kirtida, for your appreciation. Thank you, Shama Manjari. Thank you all. I wish you well. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi.